Jaden stepped out of the black car, his heart beating fast. He was just 16, but today he was on an important trip. He wore a clean white shirt, a dark blazer, and shiny shoes. His hands trembled a little, but he tried to stay calm. This wasn't a normal airport. It was a private jet terminal, quiet, clean, and filled with rich people. He had never been here alone before, but he had a job to do, and he was determined to do it right. Jaden walked through the glass doors, holding his small bag tightly. People looked at him, some with curiosity, others with confusion. But he kept walking, heading toward the reception. Behind the counter, a woman smiled at him politely. "Can I help you?" "Yes," Jaden said softly. "I'm here for flight SK9, the Kingston jet." She looked surprised. "Oh, are you part of the crew?" "No, Mom," Jaden replied. "I'm a passenger." She hesitated. "One moment, please." She picked up the phone and whispered into it. Jaden stood there, calm but alert. A few moments later, a tall man in a pilot's uniform walked out from the hallway. His name tag read Captain Drusen. He was white, in his 50s, with a serious face and sharp eyes. He looked at Jaden and frowned. "Is there a problem here?" the pilot asked. The receptionist pointed at Jaden. "He says he's a passenger for Kingston Jet, flight SK9. Captain Drusen stared at Jaden from head to toe. "You're joking, right?" Jaden shook his head. "No, sir, I'm not." The pilot stepped closer. "Who dropped you off?" "My driver." "Do you have any ID?" Jaden handed him a small wallet. The pilot looked at it, then back at Jaden. He didn't seem satisfied. "And who told you you could be on that flight?" Jaden paused. "My mother." Captain Drusen laughed under his breath. "Right. And who's your mother?" "Bianca." Jaden said nothing. His face stayed calm. The pilot turned to the receptionist. "Call airport security. Now." The receptionist hesitated. "Sir, maybe we should double-check." "I said now," the pilot snapped. She picked up the phone again, clearly nervous. Jaden stood still. He didn't move. He didn't run. He didn't shout. But his eyes, they showed something else. Strength. Within minutes, 2 airport police officers arrived. They walked quickly toward Jaden, their hands already near their belts. The pilot pointed at him. "That's him. Tried to sneak into a private flight. No idea how he got past security." The officers looked at Jaden. One of them said, "Son, we're going to need you to step outside." Jaden sighed softly. "I didn't do anything wrong. We just need to ask you some questions." "I have permission to be here," Jaden said. The pilot interrupted. "He doesn't. This is a private terminal. We can't take risks." Jaden looked around. Everyone was watching. No one said a word. He could feel their eyes on him, judging him, doubting him. He felt something heavy grow in his chest. Not fear, not anger. Disappointment. He knew this would happen. Still, he didn't panic. Instead, he looked directly at the pilot. His voice was calm, clear, cold. "You'll regret this," he said. The pilot raised an eyebrow. "Excuse me." Jaden didn't flinch. "You'll regret this when my mom arrives." For a second, everything went quiet. Then the pilot scoffed. "I'm shaking." Jaden didn't say anything else. He simply stood there like he was waiting. And then, a deep engine sound filled the air outside. A sleek silver private jet landed on the nearby runway. People turned to watch. The security officers looked confused. The pilot narrowed his eyes. Within moments, a black car rolled up to the front of the terminal. It stopped. A driver stepped out and opened the back door. Out stepped a woman in a sharp navy blue suit, heels clicking against the pavement. Her hair was tied back, her eyes hidden behind dark glasses. But her presence was powerful. She walked straight into the terminal. Every head turned. She took off her glasses and scanned the room. Then her eyes landed on Jay. The room was silent. Amara Kingston stood in the center of the terminal. Her suit was spotless, her face calm. But her eyes burned with quiet fire. Jaden's mother, the woman no one expected. Captain Drusen, the white pilot who had called the police on her son, cleared his throat nervously. "Ma'am, I was only doing my duty. We had a security issue." She raised her hand slightly. He stopped speaking. "I asked you one question," she said slowly. "Why are you touching my son?" The airport police officers glanced at each other. I didn't know he was your son," one of them said. "We were told." "You were told a black teenager in first class must be a threat," she finished for him. "That's what you were told." The pilot stepped in again. "This is just a misunderstanding." Amara turned her full attention to him. "And who gave you the authority to decide who belongs on my plane?" "Your plane," he said slowly. She reached into her handbag and pulled out a silver ID card. It read, "Amara Kingston, founder and CEO, Skyair Airlines." Drusen's face dropped. He looked like he had seen a ghost. Amara's voice was sharp now. "You called security on my son. You embarrassed him. You accused him without cause. Did you even check the flight log, the passenger list, the clearance codes?" The pilot stuttered. I just saw." He looked out of place. Her jaw tightened. "You're right. He was out of place. Not because of his color, not because of his clothes, but because this is a place filled with people like you." Everyone in the terminal watched in silence. Even the receptionist had tears in her eyes. Jaden stood quietly by his mother's side. He still hadn't said much, but he didn't need to. She was speaking for him now. Flashback. 15 years earlier. Amara Kingston was a young black woman trying to become a commercial pilot. People laughed at her. They told her she would never make it. Too tough, too smart, too confident, too black. But she pushed forward. She trained harder than anyone. She stayed calm when others panicked. She flew through storms when others turned back. And eventually, she didn't just become a pilot. She became the best. After 10 years of hard work, she built her own company, Skyair Airlines, one of the fastest-growing private aviation firms in the country. Now she stood in the terminal, not as someone's assistant, not as a wife, not as a guest, but as the boss. Back in the terminal, the pilot was still frozen. "You'll be hearing from my legal team," Amara said coldly. "And your license. You can kiss that goodbye." She turned to the officers. "I suggest you walk away unless you'd like to be part of this lawsuit too." Without another word, the officers quietly left the terminal. They didn't even look back. The receptionist behind the desk stood and said, "Mrs. Kingston, I'm truly sorry. I didn't know." "You knew enough," Amara said. "You saw a boy who didn't fit the image, and you picked up the phone." The woman's face turned red. "Please forgive me." Amara nodded once. "Forgiveness isn't the same as forgetting." Jaden finally spoke. "Mom, it's okay. I expected this." Her face softened. "You shouldn't have to expect this. Not anymore. Not in my airport." She turned to the pilot one last time. "You judged my son by the color of his skin. You thought you had power. But real power doesn't look like fear. It looks like this." She motioned to Jaden. "Grace under fire." Jaden smiled slightly. Without another word, Amara walked with Jaden to the waiting private jet. The steps lowered. A uniformed crew member greeted them. "Welcome aboard, Mr. Kingston." Jaden nodded. "Thank you." They stepped inside. The doors closed behind them. But the story didn't end there. Because someone was watching. A man sitting in a dark car across the street had seen it all. He picked up his phone and made a call. "She showed up," he said, "and now the boy knows too much." There was silence on the line. Then a reply. "Let's proceed with the next step." Back inside the jet, Jaden sat down and looked at his mother. "You didn't have to come, you know," he said. "Yes, I did," she replied. "This wasn't just about you." Jaden raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" She paused. "There's something you don't know, Jaden. About the company. About your father. About why I put you on this trip." Jaden stared at her, confused. "What's going on, Mom?" She looked out the window and whispered, "It's bigger than both of us." The jet moved smoothly across the sky. Inside, Jaden sat by the window, staring at the clouds. His mind was full of questions. He looked at his mother, Amara Kingston, the woman who just defended him in front of the world, the woman who ran an entire airline, the woman who now seemed different. Her face was calm, but Jaden could feel it. Something was wrong. "Mom," he said finally, "what did you mean when you said there's something I don't know?" Amara didn't answer at first. She looked at her son with sad eyes. "I've tried to protect you from this, Jaden. From everything." "From what?" he asked softly. She took a deep breath. "Today wasn't just a coincidence," she said. "That pilot, that terminal, that whole scene was planned." Jaden froze. "Wait, are you saying they wanted to humiliate me?" Amara nodded. "Yes, but not just you. Me." Flashback. 1 month ago. Amara sat in her office, going through reports. A quiet knock came at the door. Her assistant walked in with a file. "Ma'am, you need to see this." Inside the file were complaints, letters, emails, all anonymous, all warning her about growing racism and corruption inside Skyair. And worse, someone from the board of directors was behind it. Someone powerful, someone who wanted her out. But Amara didn't panic. She started a quiet investigation. She needed proof. And for that, she needed someone they wouldn't expect. Back on the plane, Jaden looked stunned. "You used me?" he asked. "No," she said quickly. "I trusted you." Jaden looked away. "Same thing." Amara sighed. "I knew if they saw a black teenager alone in first class, their real faces would come out. I was right. And now we have everything recorded." Jaden turned sharply toward her. "Recorded? How?" Amara pointed at his blazer. "There's a tiny mic inside your jacket. You didn't notice." Jaden's eyes widened. "You're serious?" "I'm always serious when it comes to you. And this company." He sat back, confused, angry. But deep down, he understood. I thought this trip was about learning business." "It is," she said. "But real business isn't just numbers. It's people, power, truth." Meanwhile, back at the airport, the pilot, Captain Drusen, was in a private office, yelling into a phone. "You told me it was just some kid," a voice replied coldly. "And now she's exposed herself. Good. Let her think she's in control. But I'm on camera. You'll be taken care of, as long as you follow the plan." Click. The call ended. Captain Drusen sat back, sweating. He knew this was bigger than he imagined. He had messed with the wrong kid. In the jet, Amara opened her laptop. She showed Jaden a list of names: board members, executives, lawyers. "One of these people is trying to destroy me," she said. "I need to find out who." Jaden leaned closer. "Why now?" She looked at him. "Because your father left something behind." Jaden blinked. "My dad. He didn't die in an accident," she said quietly. That was a lie. A cover-up. Jaden's heart skipped a beat. "What are you talking about?" Amara's voice shook slightly. "He was a pilot too. One of the best. He found out someone was smuggling illegal items through Skyair's cargo system. He tried to stop them." Jaden's mouth was dry. "And then they made it look like an engine failure," she whispered. "But I'd always known the truth." Jaden sat in silence. Everything he thought he knew was falling apart. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because you're ready," she said. And because they'll come for you next. Suddenly, the jet's lights flickered. The pilot's voice came over the speaker. We're experiencing some minor turbulence. Please remain seated. Amara narrowed her eyes. That's not turbulence. Jaden felt a chill go down his spine. Amara stood up and went to the cockpit. A few moments later, she returned. Her face was pale. They tried to reroute the jet midair, she said. Someone hacked into the system. Jaden jumped up. What? Amara quickly sat down and fastened her seatbelt. Don't worry. The backup system kicked in. But we need to land. Now, back on the ground, a black car waited at a secret runway. They landed safely and rushed into the car. Jaden looked out the window. He wasn't afraid anymore. He was angry. They tried to humiliate me, silence you, and almost killed us. What do we do now? Amara looked at him. We fight. Jaden clenched his fists. Good, because I'm done being quiet. Somewhere else, in a dark room, the man who watched everything from the airport sat at a desk. He looked at a screen showing Jaden's face. He knows now, he said. A shadowy figure stepped out of the corner. Then it's time we remind him who really controls the sky. The black car moved fast through the night, far from the city lights. Jaden sat in the back, his hands still shaking. He looked at his mother beside him, her face calm but tense. Mom, are we safe now? He asked. No, Amara said. Not yet. Outside the window, trees passed in a blur. The driver didn't speak. He wore dark glasses and kept his eyes straight on the road. Jaden leaned forward. Where are we going? To a safe house, she replied. Your father built it years ago. No one knows about it. Not even the board. Jaden sat back. His heart was heavy. Too many secrets. Too many lies. He looked at his mom. Why did you hide all this from me? About Dad. About the danger. She paused before answering. I didn't want you to carry this burden. You're just a boy. I'm not a boy anymore, Jaden interrupted. Not after today. She nodded slowly. I know. That's why I need your help. Jaden was quiet. Then he said, Tell me everything. Flashback. 17 years ago. Amara was pregnant with Jaden. Her husband, Marcus Kingston, was a senior pilot for Skyair. Back then, the airline was small, just a few jets, a few employees. Marcus was smart, brave, and curious. One day, he found strange cargo on his plane. Boxes without names, no weight recorded. He asked questions. They told him to stop, but he didn't. He followed the paperwork, found secret payments, hidden routes, illegal shipments. He tried to expose it. A week later, his plane exploded midair. The world believed it was an accident, but Amara never did. And now, 16 years later, the people who killed Marcus were trying to destroy everything he had built. Back in the car, Jaden whispered, They murdered Dad. Amara nodded. But why didn't you tell the police? She looked at him sadly. The police were involved. So were judges, politicians, even some airline officials. If I had spoken then, you wouldn't have grown up free. Jaden felt cold. So all this time, you were pretending to run a company, while living in fear. No, she said firmly. I was preparing for war. The car finally stopped near a forest. There was no house in sight, just trees and darkness. The driver pressed a button. A part of the ground opened, revealing the hidden road underground. The car drove in. At the end was a metal gate. Beyond it, a small but strong concrete building. Amara led Jaden inside. The walls were lined with screens, files, and flight maps. It looked more like a mission base than a home. Welcome to the real Skyair, she said. Jaden's eyes widened. Did Dad build all this? Yes, Amara said. And now, it's yours. She walked over to a locked drawer, pulled out a thick folder. Inside, Names, photos, flight logs, money trails. This, she said, is everything they've tried to hide. Jaden flipped through the pages. He saw photos of Captain Drusen, the pilot who humiliated him. But there were others too, men in suits, smiling in public, while hiding dark secrets. They're still using Sky Air to smuggle things, Amara explained. Weapons, data, sometimes people. Jaden looked up. And they think you don't know. They think I'm scared, that I'll walk away quietly. Jaden clenched his fists. But you won't. No, she said. I'll burn the whole system down if I have to. Meanwhile, in a fancy boardroom far away, the Sky Air Board of Directors was holding a secret meeting. She knows, one man said. We need to move fast. A woman in a red dress spoke. What about the boy? The cameras, the recordings. A third man stood. His voice was cold. We erase them. We erase everything. But the mother. We've dealt with her kind before. Back in the bunker, Jaden stood in front of a digital map. These cargo flights, he said, pointing at red dots, they all go to the same country. Amara looked closer. That's not a country. That's a private island. Jaden turned. Is that where the truth is? She nodded. It's where Marcus was last seen alive. Before his final flight. Jaden looked at her, eyes full of fire. Then take me there. She paused. It's dangerous, he said softly. So is silence. Later that night, Jaden couldn't sleep. He walked through the safe house, staring at old pictures of his father. He saw one photo of Marcus and Amara standing in front of a plane, smiling. Under it were the words, "Fly above the fear." Jaden whispered to the photo, "I'm coming, Dad. I'll finish what you started." At sunrise, Amara walked into the room with 2 plane tickets. One for me, one for you. Jaden looked at them. Let's fly. The private jet sliced through the clouds, heading toward a small island in the middle of nowhere. Jaden sat by the window, his heart pounding. This wasn't just a trip. This was a mission. His mother, Amara, sat across from him, her expression focused. She had changed out of her usual business clothes. Now she wore a black utility jacket and a backpack full of tools, files, and a loaded flash drive. Jaden looked at her. Are you ready for this? She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I've been ready for 17 years. Flashback. 17 years ago. Marcus Kingston was standing on this very island, holding the same flash drive Amara now carried. He had just discovered the truth, secret documents, names of corrupt officials, and videos of illegal activities hidden in Sky Air cargo planes. He uploaded everything onto the flash drive. But before he could leave, they came for him. He ran. He hid the drive. And he vanished. Back in the present, Jaden asked, "Do you think we'll find something real out here?" "I know we will," Amara replied. "Your father left clues. Hidden messages only I would understand." The plane began to descend. Through the window, Jaden saw the island. Lush trees, cliffs, and a long airstrip surrounded by high fences. "Looks more like a prison than a paradise," he said. "Exactly," Amara whispered. As they landed, a security team approached the jet. Men in dark uniforms, holding rifles. One of them stepped forward. "Welcome to Raven Isle," he said. "State your business." Amara handed over her ID calmly. "Corporate inspection. I'm the owner." The guard frowned. "This island is restricted. Only cargo and authorized staff." Jaden stepped in. "Are you saying the owner of Sky Air isn't authorized?" The guard hesitated, then stepped back. "Proceed." They entered a black SUV and drove deep into the island. Amara leaned close to Jaden. "They're already suspicious. Stay sharp." The SUV stopped in front of a large building. Tall, gray, with no signs. Just barbed wire and cameras. Inside, men in suits sat around computers. Boxes were being scanned and loaded. None of it looked like standard business. Jaden whispered, "This looks more like a spy vase." Amara nodded, "Because that's what it is." She handed him a small earpiece. "Keep this on. If we get separated, I'll guide you." They walked through the halls, pretending to inspect. Amara pointed at a door guarded by two men. "That room," she said softly, "is where your father last sent a signal." Jaden felt a chill. "We need to get inside." "Not yet," she said. "First, we need the access code." Meanwhile, in another part of the building, a man in a long coat watched them on a screen. "She came," he said. Next to him stood Mr. Gray, the same man who had watched them from the airport days ago. "She won't leave alive," Gray replied. The man smiled. "No, but let's have some fun first." Back in the hallway, Amara led Jaden to a storage room. Inside, she pulled out a hidden laptop and connected it to the building's power lines. "What are you doing?" Jaden asked. "Hacking the door system." After a few clicks, she smiled. "Got it. Door B7. Let's go." They rushed back, this time sneaking through the shadows. When they reached the door, Amara keyed in the code. Beep. It opened. Inside was a dark office, old, dusty, like no one had touched it in years. Amara walked to a shelf and pulled out a book. Inside it was a small map and a note. Jaden read it out loud. "If you're reading this, I didn't make it. But the truth is still alive. Follow the map. Trust no one. Marcus." Jaden looked at his mom. "It's real. All of it." She nodded, holding back tears. "We're close now." Suddenly, bang! The doors slammed shut behind them. Locks clicked. Trapped. Jaden ran to the door. "It's locked." Amara checked her watch. "They know we're here." A voice came through hidden speakers. "Hello, Amara. You always were clever." Jaden looked up. "Who is that?" Mr. Gray's voice echoed through the room. "Your father thought he could expose us. Look where that got him." Amara stepped forward. "I'm not afraid of you." "Oh, but your son should be," Gray replied. Then silence. Jaden looked at his mother. "They killed Dad, and they're going to try and kill us too." Amara nodded. "Let them try." She opened her backpack, pulling out a small device. "What's that?" "A remote trigger for the files your father hid. If we don't make it, the world still gets the truth." They searched the room and found a vent behind the shelf. Jaden kicked it open. "Let's go." They crawled through the dark tunnel, hearts racing. Finally, they reached the other side, an open hangar full of crates. Jaden looked around. "This is it. This is the operation." Amara pulled out her phone and began recording. Every crate, every name. "We're getting it all." Suddenly, gunshots. Security guards stormed in. Jaden ducked. Amara grabbed his arm. "This way." They ran through the chaos, dodging bullets. A guard raised his rifle, and just before he fired, Jaden tackled him. Amara grabbed the keys from his belt. They jumped into a nearby transport truck and sped out of the hangar. Sirens blared behind them. Jaden gripped the wheel. "Where are we going?" "To the coordinates on your father's map," Amara said. "He left something behind, and it's the last piece of the puzzle." The jungle on the island was thick and silent. Jaden's clothes were torn. His hands were bleeding, but he kept moving. He followed the map his father had left, holding it tightly like a treasure. Behind him, Amara moved carefully, checking their path with sharp eyes. They had escaped the hangar, the bullets, the guards, but they were not safe yet. They were heading to a place marked only with one word: truth. Jaden stopped at a strange tree with red bark. The map said, "Turn left after the red tree." They followed a narrow path. It led them to a hill. At the top of the hill, there was a stone wall covered in vines. Jaden cleared the vines with his hands. Underneath was something unbelievable. A metal door, hidden in the mountain. Amara stepped closer. This is it. Your father built this. Jaden asked, but how did he do all this without being caught? She looked at him. Your father was smarter than all of them. The metal door had no handle, just a scanner. Amara pulled out a small glass cube from her bag. She placed it on the scanner. A green light blinked. Click. The door opened with a low hum. Inside was a cold tunnel with lights that turned on by themselves as they walked in. Jaden whispered, "This is like something out of a spy movie." Amara didn't smile, because this wasn't a movie. This was real. And it was dangerous. At the end of the tunnel was a single room. It looked like a small lab. On the table was a laptop, old, dusty, but still plugged in. Amara rushed to it and pressed the power button. The screen lit up, and a video started playing. Jaden and Amara froze. It was Marcus Kingston, Jaden's father. In the video, Marcus looked tired, dirty, but his voice was calm. "If you're watching this, I'm probably dead. You both need to listen carefully. The airline was never just about flights. They used it to move secrets, weapons, and people. I found the files. I copied them. And now they're after me." Amara's eyes filled with tears. Marcus continued, "I left everything on this island. The names, the money trails, the video proof. It's all here, in this lab. You must take it and show the world." And Jaden, my son. Jaden stepped closer. His heart was pounding. "You were just a baby when I made this, but if you're watching it, it means you're not a baby anymore. You're brave like your mother, and I know you'll do the right thing. Don't let them scare you. Don't let them win." The video ended. Jaden stood silently, staring at the screen. His chest felt heavy, but his heart was strong. "I won't let them win, Dad," he whispered. Amara walked to a safe built into the wall. She entered a code. The safe opened. Inside were hard drives, printed documents, and a small black device. "What's that?" Jaden asked. Amara held it up. "It's a transmitter. Once activated, it sends all this data to news stations, the government, and every major airport." Jaden looked at her. "Then why don't we do it now?" She paused. "Because once we press this button, they'll know exactly where we are. And they'll send everything they have to stop us." Jaden nodded. "So we have to get out first." Suddenly, a loud explosion rocked the tunnel. Dust fell from the ceiling. Jaden turned. "They found us." Amara grabbed the hard drives and stuffed them into a backpack. "Take this," she told Jaden. "If I don't make it." "No," Jaden cut her off. "We make it together." They ran out of the lab, through the tunnel, as another blast echoed behind them. Outside, smoke was rising in the jungle. Mr. Gray and his men were coming. They had minutes, maybe less. Jaden and Amara ran through the trees, but the path was blocked. A drone flew overhead. Gunshots echoed through the trees. "Over here," Amara pointed to a small cave. They dove inside and hid behind a rock. Jaden clutched the backpack. "They're going to find us." Amara looked at the transmitter. "We can't run forever," she said, "but we can expose them." She pressed the button. A green light blinked. Then, VEPBE transmission started. Somewhere across the world, TV screens flickered. A breaking news alert flashed. Emails flooded inboxes. Names, dates, secret flight logs, faces of powerful people. All exposed. Amara smiled through her fear. "Your father did it, Jaden," she whispered. "We just finished it." Jaden was about to speak. But suddenly, a flashlight beamed through the cave entrance. A voice shouted, "Hands up." Mr. Gray appeared, holding a gun. "You think this is over?" he snarled. Jaden stepped forward. "You lost." Gray raised the gun. Then, Kurakig. A shot echoed. Gray collapsed. Behind him stood the pilot from the airport, Captain Melvin. He lowered his gun. "Took me a while to track you, but I owed your father. He saved my life once." Jaden and Amara stared in shock. "You're on our side?" Amara asked. Melvin nodded. "Always was." They escaped the island by boat that night. By morning, the world had changed. Police arrested officials. Airline stocks crashed. People protested. And Jaden Kingston, once just a quiet teenager, was now the boy who took down a criminal empire. 1 week had passed. The world had changed, but Jaden Kingston still felt the storm inside him. Yes, the truth was out. Yes, the criminals had been caught. Yes, his father's name was finally cleared. But something was missing. Closure. Jaden stood alone on the runway of Skyair's private hangar. The place was quiet now. No cameras, no police, just the wind and the memory of a man who had vanished 17 years ago. In his hand, Jaden held a final letter, a printed message found in the hard drive. It was written by Marcus Kingston, but it was never sent. "Amara, if something happens to me, go to Hangar 8. Tell our son what kind of man I tried to be. And forgive me for disappearing." Jaden closed his eyes and whispered, "We're going, Dad." Amara arrived moments later in a black car. She stepped out, wearing the same leather jacket she wore when she and Marcus first started the airline. She looked tired, but proud. "You found the letter," she said. Jaden nodded. Hangar 8. They walked across the runway in silence. The sun was rising behind them, painting the sky with orange and gold. Inside Hangar 8, there was nothing but an old dusty jet. It hadn't flown in years. The logo on its side was faded, but Jaden could still read the name. "The Dreamer." Jaden asked, "Is this?" Amara nodded slowly. "Your father's first plane. He built it from scrap when he was just 19. Jaden walked around it, touching the cold metal. Something caught his eye. A small sealed compartment under the wing, locked with a fingerprint scanner. Jaden turned to Amara. She reached out and pressed her thumb to it. Beep. Click. The door opened. Inside was a box. Jaden carefully lifted it out. Inside were a Navy SEAL badge, old flight maps, a photo of Marcus holding baby Jaden, and one more thing, a cassette tape. Jaden stared at it. "What's this?" Amara pulled out a small old-school player from the box. She clicked play. Marcus's voice filled the hangar. "Jaden, my son, if you're hearing this, it means the plan worked. It means your mother stayed strong and you found the truth. I never wanted to leave you, but I had to disappear to keep you both alive. I've watched from the shadows. I saw you grow. I saw you fight. And now, I see you becoming the man I always knew you could be." Jaden's hands shook. Amara held his shoulder. Marcus's voice continued. "I buried secrets to protect you. But now, I leave you something better. A choice. The jet behind you, the Dreamer, still works. Inside, you'll find one final location. Coordinates only you can fly to. If you want to see me again, take the flight." The tape ended. Jaden stood still. The words echoed in his chest. It's he, alive. Amara was silent for a moment. Then she smiled through tears. "I think he is." They rushed into the jet. Dust covered the controls, but everything was still there. Maps, logs, and a small GPS unit. Jaden clicked it on. A red dot blinked far out in the ocean. Coordinates, a place not found on any regular map. Amara looked at him. "Are you ready for this?" Jaden nodded. "Always." They started the engines. The hangar doors opened. The jet rolled forward, faster and faster. And then, they were airborne. Hours later, over endless blue water, the jet approached a tiny island. Jaden stared through the window. It had one airstrip, one house, and one man, standing in the sunlight. Jaden landed the jet softly. His hands were shaking. He stepped out of the plane. Amara followed. The man stood still, then slowly began walking toward them. His beard was longer now. His hair was gray. But his eyes were the same. Jaden whispered, "Dad." Marcus Kingston stopped. He looked at Jaden, at Amara, and he smiled. Tears filled his eyes. "So," Marcus said, "you found me." Jaden ran into his arms. They hugged tightly, father and son. After 17 long, painful years, Amara stepped forward and placed her hand on Marcus's cheek. "I never stopped believing," she said. Marcus looked at them both. "I had to hide, but I never left you." They stood together under the sun, as a family, whole again. A few months later, news outlets now called it the greatest expose in aviation history. Jaden gave speeches. Amara rebuilt Skyair, honest this time. And Marcus, he came home. The world thought he was dead. But the truth, he was reborn.